Comme si j'étais raille pour détourner l'ennui. À vrai dire, mes dés sont tous joués.
What would happen if we asked 4 Winnipeggers from different backgrounds to switch cultures for a day? This is Culture Trade.
I hear pins of falling. Let's stop pretending that we have something in common, that we face the same races.
Here's some of our pan-fried pierogies. Let's see if you like them.
So, culture's a pretty big topic. Where do we all begin?
That's a good question.
Fueled by the best pierogies in town, our traders get down to
There's
business.
this really cool artist. Her name is Marie-Josée, and I think it would be really neat if you could just cross the bridge. And
Roseanne Blais is a Franco-Manitoban artist who lives in St. Boniface.
Well, I got a friend at the Scottish Pavilion I think you should meet, and I've set up a meeting with the representative of the Queen in Manitoba.
Oh, touche.
William Jordan is an English-Canadian actor who speaks no French. They'll be switching Can They Bridge the old French-English rivalry.
So what I would suggest is checking out a round dance or a friendship dance.
Mark Carty is a break dancer who teaches his moves to Aboriginal youth.
I think you should check out the Filipino pavilion.
Roanne Solitario is a second-generation Filipino who teaches dance. So one of Winnipeg's oldest cultures will trade with one of its newest.
When Britain fell and him command.
My name is William Jordan. I'm an actor living here in Winnipeg who always gets cast as the Englishman, the country gentleman, the knight, the pirate. Before I ventured into French territory, I retreated to my domicile to do what any good thespian would do, rechercher. And my recherche suggested that the relations between English and French have not always gone well over the years. From La Vérendrye to Provencher, from Taché to Riel, there is no doubt that the French culture has always been a huge part of Winnipeg. The French were the first Europeans to arrive here in Winnipeg. They set up trading posts to satisfy the latest fashion craze back in Europe, the beaver pelt hat. The English weren't far behind, and with them came all the rivalries of the old world. As they had for thousands of years, the French and the English battled over religion, economics, and power. On the day that Winnipeg became a city, its first mayor led an English gang across the river to start a rumble with the French. For more on him, click on that ruggedly good-looking link in the description. Eventually, the French settled in St. Boniface and the English on the other side of the river in an uneasy peace. St. Boniface was incorporated into the city in 1971, but remains a cultural hub. It's the second largest French-speaking community in Canada outside of Quebec, boasting some of the best food, theater, and music scenes that the city has to offer. Bonjour. Je m'appelle William. Je suis pour la recherche pour la Marie-Josée.
Oh, you know, we can talk in English here too.
How did you know I was English?
I saw the dictionary.
I knew it must have been something. But I've been working really hard. How was that?
Very good. Very, very good.
Bonjour.
Bonjour.
Are you William?
Is that obvious?
Bonjour.
Pleasure to meet you.
Bonjour.
Comme si j'étais raille.
Marie-Josée is a French musician nominated for Francophone Album of the Year at the Aboriginal People's Choice Awards.
Comme le pont qui s'écroule, qui t'ouvre nos talks de métier.
She took me deep into the heart of St. Boniface, including her alma mater, La Université de St. Boniface. I asked her what it was like to be French living in St. Boniface.
Well, we have everything we need. We have hospital, we have like museums, libraries, we have a university that's world-renowned. This university is like, seriously, a lot of international students come here.
So we have everything on this little street of St. Boniface. Everything I wanted to do, I could do in French.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I know, it's pretty sweet, eh?
I'm going to challenge you to a game of foosball. I see there's some foosball over there.
Watch out.
How do you say foosball in French?
Bobby foot.
That is amazing.
Yeah,
this is
bring
my
it,
best
bring
day.
it.
Let's do this.
I was learning so much. Did you know that the businesses in St. Boniface will display this sticker when they offer French service? C'est bon means en français is A-OK. Okay, so my French isn't exactly perfect. I asked MJ how the French feel about English speakers trying to speak French.
Oh, it's great. We love it. The more French, the merrier. Yeah, we love it. We actually love people that make effort and you know, try their best to learn the language. And we have to watch it, right? We have to keep working hard and harder, actually, to just preserve our language and keep working at it so that we don't lose it.
So I've noticed this like joie de vivre in our adventures today. Is there something behind that? Could you just tell me a little about that?
Yeah, it's just like being proud and just, that's our joie. It's like we're happy to be francophone, really. And we kind of spread the word and yeah, we just have fun with our language. It's just a party. Joie de vivre.
Joie de vivre indeed, my dear. Marie-Josée was kind enough to invite me to experience her music in person at the historic Louis Riel House. I felt honored to walk the halls with so much history, and it dawned on me how far French and English relations have come here in Winnipeg. With Marie-José's music serenading me, I knew her joie de vivre would stay with me forever.
Coming up on Culture Trade. Hi, it's Rosie. I'm getting pumped up at the Scottish Pavilion at Folklorama, and I'm ready to face my fears.
Hi, it's Mark here. Coming up a little later on Culture Trade, Ro and I are switching places.
My name is Rosanne Blais. I am a French musician, artist, and work at the Franco-Manitoban Cultural Center. Growing up in St. Boniface means I was lucky to live almost entirely in French. But we have an expression in St. Boniface, l'autre côté de la rivière, on the other side of the river, which expresses the divide between the French and English cultures. Right over the bridge is the Lieutenant Governor's house, the representative of the Queen in Manitoba. How can I maintain my French culture when English is everywhere and trying to assimilate me? Okay, maybe it's not quite that dramatic, but still, I'm worried. The first English presence in Winnipeg was part of the largest land grant in history, when the British government gave half of Canada to the Hudson Bay Company. That English presence was largely a workforce of Scots and Irish who braved the Canadian winter, escaping worse problems back home. Settlement followed quickly with the Selkirk settlers and waves of immigrants from the British Isles. Initial struggles were many. The English battled with the French, Métis, Aboriginal populations, but at the end of the day, it was still the Union Jack that flew over Winnipeg and the rest of Canada. With the coming of the railway and growing agricultural industry, it was prominent English families that ran things in this town. And when England went to war, Winnipeg went to war. In fact, on one Winnipeg street alone, Valor Road, 3 neighbors were awarded the Empire's greatest military honor, the Victoria Cross. Although ties with England are less formal than in the past, the Queen is still portrayed on her currency and the Governor-General still acts as the liaison to the Crown. Winnipeggers of English descent are still the largest group in the city. Will has sent me to the Scottish Pavilion at Folklorama in honor of the first English-speaking settlers in Winnipeg, the Selkirk settlers, who actually were all Scots. McPhillips, Dermott, McMillan, McGee, McIntosh, McGilvery. It's pretty clear just from our street names the Scots are really important in Winnipeg's history. I asked Jay, the pavilion coordinator, why it was important to celebrate his cultural heritage.
If you didn't, it would be lost. You're proud of your culture and you're proud to pass it on. I myself am actually expecting right now, and thank you. And we will offer or try to expose them to the dance or the music or even the sports and let them kind of decide on what they want to get into. And if you don't, it won't stay alive, right?
Jay had a good point. It is important to celebrate and share your culture with others so it can grow. With that in mind, I was invited to try the heavy games to get into the fighting spirit. I might not be as big as they were, but I like to think I earned their respect. The celebration that night was amazing. People from all around Winnipeg came out to experience Scottish culture, and I started to notice how many similarities there were between the Scots and the French. Both cultures have strong traditions in food, music, and dance. I was really happy to take part. Inspired by my Scottish experience, I decided it was time to finally confront my fears. I am going straight to the heart of English culture, home of the Queen's representative, the Lieutenant Governor. I'm going to ask the question, are the English out to get me?
Hello. Bonjour.
Well, it turns out the Lieutenant Governor is Chinese-Canadian, and he's learning French. Maybe I had it all wrong.
I believe, Rosie, if people say have a very obsolete mind of thinking that only the English Canadians is the supreme kind of group, ethnic group in Canada, then they are wrong. Because being a French Canadian is a privilege, because now your language is one of the 2 official languages, and I'm sure you are fluently bilingual, French and English. Canada is the perfect country to accept the multicultural practice in Canada. I think this is our uniqueness, and Canada should be proud that we are the leader.
Well, thank you so much, sir, again, for having me. I feel so good about our conversation. The English weren't out to get me. In fact, the Lieutenant Governor was encouraging me to celebrate and share my culture with the world. That's a responsibility I can gladly accept. And as I made my way back home, I knew that from now on, I will look forward to crossing the river.
Coming up on Culture Trade. Hey, it's Mark here. I'm breakdancing, mostly my ankle, at the Filipino Pavilion.
Hi, it's Ro here. Join me later as I take part in a world record friendship circle.
I am Mark Hardy, an Aboriginal dance teacher here in Winnipeg. I've been taught as an Anishinaabe person that dance is a way that we connect with our traditions and make them relevant to today's culture. Maybe if I learn a little bit about Filipino dance, I can connect with their culture. My friend Rose suggested I go to the Filipino Pavilion at Folklorama, where there's a fabulous dance troupe, and they would be willing to introduce me to their amazing culture. The Filipino community is now the biggest immigrant population in Winnipeg, with 1 in 20 people speaking the Filipino language, Tagalog. But it wasn't always the case. Things began with very humble beginnings. In 1959, 4 nurses voyaged from the other side of the world to work at the Misericordia Hospital. They were the very first Filipinos to live and work here. It was the beginnings of what was going to become a very productive relationship with Winnipeg. The community really grew in the 1960s, with the designer blue jean craze. The Winnipeg garment industry was booming, and Filipinos immigrated in the thousands to work in the industry. In 1988, Ray Paigtican was the first elected Filipino MP in Canada, and today 56,000 Filipinos call Winnipeg their home, making them the 3rd largest Filipino community in Canada. The community has really been a boon to the city's cultural scene. From their street fests to the food, from their cultural dances, this community is one of the most vibrant in Winnipeg. The presentation at the Pavilion is both a dance show and a theater play. You can really learn a lot about the Filipino history and tradition. Now I have so many questions.
And I'm really super curious all about what you guys do here today. Why is Filipino folk dance really important to Filipinos in Winnipeg?
I guess since most of us are immigrants from the Philippines, obviously, it kind of helps us relive our culture here in Canada. So it helps the younger kids learn more about the Filipino culture since they weren't born in the Philippines and they grew up here.
Okay, it really helps with identity, right? And being able to bring that all the way from the Philippines all the way here to Winnipeg, right? Mm-hmm. So what are some of the other things that you've learned from Filipino dance, just besides the dance itself?
I think with Filipino dancing, it's just not all about movement, it's more about movement and character. You learn how to dance like in certain ways that you wouldn't in like hip hop or stuff like that. You need to work together or else it just won't work.
How was it to be Filipino in Canada?
I think it's great. It's awesome because there's a lot of opportunities here, and you get to meet, different kind of cultural field background. Since it's Canada is multicultural, so it's awesome, and I think it's a great place to live.
And so I try tinikling, the bamboo stick dancing.
Up and up and out. There you go.
Later, I show a few dance moves of my own. I was dancing for my dinner. What makes Filipino food different from other foods?
Well, I think it's because of the recipes and the different kind of ingredients. We have the pancit, it's a rice noodle. We have the spring roll, we called it lumpia, and the very well-known adobo of the Philippines.
I am super hungry right now, and it sounds great.
You can try it later, honey.
Oh, you know I will.
Who has never tried this before really needs to try this.
Dance is one of those things that is very different in every culture, but it is also one of those things that we all have in common. I have learned a lot about Filipino culture. I hope Rose's experience with the Aboriginal community is going well.
My name is Rose Solitario, and I'm a Filipino-Canadian dancer here in Winnipeg. Today, I am helping to set a world record. More than 400 people gathered together to dance in a great friendship circle. It was totally inspiring. It made me want to know more about Aboriginal heritage. No one really knows how long Aboriginal people have lived in what we now call Winnipeg, but it was long before recorded history. The Forks, in particular, was a hub of trade and a meeting place for a multitude of different tribes and cultures. When the Europeans arrived to claim the land, there was one basic problem. It was already occupied. At first, culture trade went fairly well, and a new distinctly Canadian group emerged, the Métis. Unfortunately, things went south fast. Relations with the Europeans did not go well. Disease ran rampant through the Aboriginal community. Aboriginal culture suffered. Families were torn apart, and the people were treated as second-class citizens. The past is not forgotten, and the search for truth and reconciliation continues. Communities are moving forward. The Aboriginal community is the fastest growing population in Winnipeg, with strong ties to the political, arts, and music communities. I have arrived at the Manitoba Festival at the Forks. This is a great place to learn all about Aboriginal traditions and culture. This is a cultural camp, a place where youth and elders can get together to talk and share knowledge. The cultural camp helps youth to get a handle on their own cultural identity, but it's up to them to carry those lessons about Aboriginal heritage into the future. Just TV is the perfect place for Aboriginal youth to develop their own voice. Here, youth can learn how to use the tools of today needed to keep their traditions relevant.
What's up, guys? I'm here at 185 Yonge Street at the center. I'm with the kids for Just TV. So basically, I kind of wanted to get everyone's input on how different mediums like this help youth, specifically Aboriginal youth, connect with contemporary values and traditional values.
The stories that I've written are Aboriginal legend-based stories.
How does it feel to tell traditional stories through this new media?
In our culture nowadays, I don't feel that we can just walk up to an elder and ask them to tell us a story. That's why I want to write it, and so that my little brothers and sisters will see a video and they'll learn something from it.
For Aboriginal youth to know their identity can help them in their future, because if you don't know where you've been, you don't know where you're going.
My good friend Erica Daniels has graduated from this program to become a multimedia professional.
I've been involved with the Broadway Neighborhood Center for the past 6 years. Basically, came here and I learned everything that I know today about video, audio, writing and recording, performing music, and public speaking. And just from your perspective, like, I want to kind of know how this program has helped you. Before I came to this program, I knew nothing about my, Aboriginal heritage or my culture or traditions or anything like that. The first sweat lodge ceremony I've ever been to was actually through the Broadway Neighborhood Center when I was 16, when I first started coming here. I started getting to know a lot of elders in the community, and they started to encourage me, to share what I've been learning to other youth.
Everyone at Just TV has a story like Renee's.
This is
our newest booth. This is just a great opportunity for
wicked. Like,
yeah.
this is wicked.
Yeah, like we have. I've seen so many people who, you know, aren't Aboriginal, who just absolutely fell into the culture and the ceremonies and everything like that. You know, like if you give it a chance and you see who we truly are, I think like you'd be amazed.
They showed me that you can take an old story and turn it into something new and amazing.
We'll be back in a moment here on Culture Trade. Save room, there's homemade pie.
Santi.
Cheers.
So we asked, what would happen if 4 Winnipeggers from different backgrounds switched cultures for a day?
And I had to take this huge log, or it looked like a telephone pole actually, and I had to chuck it in the air.
Okay, so I ended up going to the Filipino pavilion at Pocorama, and I did something called a bamboo dance, and it was really hard. I even tried to like incorporate a lot of like break dancing into it.
Yeah. I actually went to check out the round dancing you told me to go to. I showed up. There's actually more than 400 people that came.
Wow.
Whoa.
Well, I went to St. Boniface, which is sort of like its own little country there. Like you can sort of live in French if you go to St. Boniface.
It seems that even though we all go our separate ways, we do it together.
Let's all get together this weekend for Culture Days. Hundreds of artists celebrating Canadian culture all over the province. See you there.
That you're in Canada and you see the generosity of the people and the tolerance of the people, and you say, I would love to have that opportunity of extending the same generosity and kindness to them in my country. Just once to have these people in Ireland or Ukraine or Germany, wherever it was,